Hello, 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 hello to everyone who is just joining us. Um, so yeah, I'm going to be sharing the link now to everyone, and we're all going to join. If you're just joining us, don't forget that this is story time with the clinic. Okay. All right. Story time with the clinic. All right, so I'm just going to share the link to every single person as usual. If you've not read the story, right? If you've not read the story, um, I think you should hurry. Yeah, I think you should hurry and do that right now. And if you're just joining us, don't forget that this is story time with the clinic. Okay, so tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that we are live. And as always, don't forget that, yeah, I'm going to I'm going to be reading the entire story, like from the beginning to the very end today, for everyone. Okay. Come, let me read the story for you tonight. Okay. Where's the link? Why is the link taking time to go now? Oh, okay. Now I get. Join the live feed. The live feed. Join the live feed. Okay, so we're going to have people pouring in the next few seconds. And I think I'm also going to be going live on Instagram. We had a couple of people join us. I think that was yesterday night, this morning. We had a couple of them who joined us. So for their sake, I would also be going live on Instagram. Now, if you're just joining, I would like for you to um, leave a comment. Say something. Let me know you're here. If you are just joining, leave us a message. You all are welcome to story time. You all are welcome to story time with the clinic. It's important that some of these stories that we it's very important to tell some of the stories that we basically discuss when we are live on the clinic. And if this is your first time, joining us, hi, Doc Sales. I would like to know if it's your first time joining us. Please let me know. But don't forget that all the action, right? All the action is actually taking place on YouTube. So you could quickly just hurry to the link on my bio. No, well, I think I could just drop the link here for you guys. I think I could do that. Yeah. So you could just hurry to the link I'm about to share now and join the actual live feed on YouTube because I'm basically reading the entire story live for everyone, okay? All right. So, if you're just joining us, we are kicking off right now, and like I said, this is story time with the clinic. Um, most of you who are just joining us, chances are you're coming all the way from Instagram, and if you're coming from Instagram, oh, what was that? Wow, something just happened right now. Okay, yeah, if you're joining us from Instagram, you would have known that we didn't start just today. The episodes have been on for like a month plus, right? And as at the time we started, yeah, those things. Yeah. So as at the time we started, this was the very first, like this was basically episode one, right? This was like the very first episode we have, which was he was like a brother to me, and then we had he promised to leave his wife, and then we had daddy was my first, and then we had another man's wife. YouTube, please go to YouTube. That's where all the fun is happening. All right, and then we had friend zoned. We had friends with benefits. We had becoming Mrs. Bassi, and today we have it's just sex. Now, today's story is different, right? Today's story is basically about Abiye. All right, about Abiye. So without further ado, right, let's just get into the story. If you're on YouTube, if you are on Instagram, please click the link and join us on YouTube. Okay, that's where I'm reading the story. All right, so let's kick off. My dad My dad had completed his bungalow at the end of the close, making us the fifth family in the estate to build and live on our own property. The driver was in an unusual hurry to get back on the road, and for the first time since we moved into the estate, I got out of the car and stood outside my father's house as Uncle Dennis backed the car onto the main street and drove off. The gate behind me opened, and a young boy, probably my age, walked out with his bicycle. We just stood and looked at ourselves. I wasn't sure what interested me more, the beauty of the estate or the fact that there was a young boy my age who stayed close. We both waved awkwardly, and I ran into the house with an innocent smile on my face. I walked in to see both my parents standing and waiting at the door. "What were you doing?" roared my dad. "Nothing, sir." "Abiye, Abiye," my mom gently called, and I looked at her. Okay, let's end this video for these guys first. Yeah. My mom gently called, and I looked at her. She knelt very close to me and held my hands. "Abiye, don't talk to boys. If you talk to them, you will get pregnant." "Do you want to get pregnant?" she asked, and I shook my head. I looked up at my dad, and he had nothing to say. He shook his head and walked away. Later that night, I overheard my dad shouting at the driver who ended the night jobless. I felt it was unfair to Uncle Dennis, who had been with us since I was a kid. What was his crime? He only dropped me outside because he had to run a quick errand for my mom. I got so upset that I decided to get pregnant the next day. My parents had a function they both attended every Thursday in church. Dad was a deacon, and mommy was a pastor in one of the biggest churches here in Port Harcourt. That morning, I woke up That morning, I woke up and played the perfect 10-year-old. I helped mom make breakfast for the entire house. I am the only child of my parents, and apart from their overprotectiveness, they actually do love me unashamedly. My plan was simple. I would wait till they go to church, then run downstairs and bribe the gate man with the chicken currently on my plate. Soon as I'm outside the gate, I'll wait for that young boy to open his gate, and then I'll talk to him till I get pregnant. Then I'll talk to him till I get pregnant. The Easter holiday started today, and I was hoping he would want to ride his bike again. Dad fired Uncle Dennis, and mom let him. I will get pregnant today and get back at them. I thought to myself as I snickered at the dining table. Abiye, what is it? Mommy suspiciously asked. Nothing, I said and gave her a very plastic smile. I waited outside for hours and he never showed up. My tummy sang, and I knew that if I stayed outside for an extra second, I'll probably start eating the ants on the floor. I got up from the shade where I sat, and as soon as I opened the gate to my house, I heard his gate open. I turned, and there he stood, smiling and waving at me. The hunger disappeared, and Operation Get Pregnant was activated. I took tentative steps towards him and wondered how long it took to get pregnant when you start talking to a boy. I looked at the pink watch in my hand and figured my parents would be home in an hour, so I hoped it would be enough time to let us talk till I get pregnant. Hi, he said as soon as I reached him. Hey, I replied with flushed cheeks. My name is Yomi. It's nice to meet you, he said and extended his hands, which I shook. Abiye, I replied and placed one hand on my tummy, trying to feel a baby or something growing inside. We talked for about an hour, and by the time I realized how far time had gone, I was already running back and forth around the close with him, throwing stones into the pool of water by the side of one of the houses on our close. My parents came home a bit late and I hid in my room. There was a feeling in my stomach. Maybe I was now pregnant and they would notice it. Abiye, I had my mom call me from the sitting room and I reluctantly dragged my legs to meet her. Daddy had his phone in his hands and the CCTV recording showing Yomi and I was playing on his screen. Mommy beat me till there wasn't any tear left to cry. I grew up avoiding boys till I got into the university and met Uche. I grew to love talking to boys and figured soon enough that what I felt in my stomach at 10 wasn't a baby in my tummy, but butterflies. I noticed that I had the same butterfly effect for some boys and it was totally non-existent for others. Uche made me feel them in a different way. He was the first person I felt them for when I got into school, and talking with him always left me smiling for the rest of the day. My parents had totally alienated me from having friends, and even the girls I talked to whilst growing up eventually started moving on from me. In my second year at the University of Port Harcourt, I was easily one of the sexiest girls in my entire faculty, and I had the brains to back it up. I'm a plus-size girl who has everything in the right proportion and knows how to flaunt it. Girl talks while I stayed at the school hostel bored me because they traded tales of boys they had crushes on and people they would like to sleep with or see naked, and I wasn't particularly interested because I didn't understand enough to know what I was missing. I finally convinced my parents to let me move out of the hostel and get an apartment outside school, and they agreed, but gave me a condition that I had to give them spares for my house key, which I did. This meant they wouldn't be calling their hostel spies to know my whereabouts anymore. One day after classes, Uche told me his roommate was going to be away for the weekend and he would like to spend some quality time with me. I didn't think twice about it and I went there. He was my favorite person in the world, so declining his offer is an absolute impossibility. I got to his house and he welcomed me in. He closed the door, locked it, and turned with his arms wide open. I quickly dived into them and he held on a little longer than usual, and I liked it. The butterflies resumed, and as we watched movies and cooked together, it was almost midnight and I had to shower and rest my head. Uche helped me boil hot water and he went on to mix it for me, leaving it at a perfect temperature. Ah, I want gentleman. It's okay. The water is ready, he said as he climbed the bed and blocked his ears with his headphones. I smiled and jumped into the bathroom, showered, and threw on my favorite nightie. I walked out of the bathroom and Uche couldn't take his eyes off my body. I caught his eyes staring at my breast and I felt my nipples harden and almost want to tear my nightie. I liked how he looked at me, but wasn't sure what to make of it. I noticed the AC in the room was more chilly than when I went into the bathroom, but I didn't mind. I got on the bed and we both started season 1 of Grey's Anatomy. There was a scene where Meredith kissed McDreamy and Uche turned and looked me in the eyes. His eyes wandered off to my lips and landed on my exposed nipple which was lying bare from the side of my nightie. "You're beautiful," was all he said, and I felt some type of liquid escape my core. I gently squeezed my thighs together in an attempt to halt it. "Sorry," I gently said as I used my hand to put the nipple back under my nightie. Uche smiled and we resumed our movie, but the water fountain inside my legs wasn't stopping. He adjusted and opened his arms for me to come closer, and I did. He was wearing a singlet and parts of his skin were exposed. Our skin touched and I shuddered. "Abby, are you okay?" he asked gently and I nodded. We resumed the movie and whilst we watched, he used his index finger to doodle on my bare back. I bit my lip countless times till I couldn't comprehend what was showing on his laptop. I stole a glance at him to maybe see if he had an idea of what I was feeling, but he was concentrating on the movie. The feeling was new and it wasn't just the butterflies. It was strange, but I loved it. I loved it more because I was feeling it with Uche. While I tried to make sense of what was happening to me, his hands glided from my back to the side of my breast, and it felt like a tap was open inside my legs. I mistakenly let out a soft moan and shuddered I think he took it as a cue. He carefully closed the laptop with his legs while his free while his free hand lifted my face. He stared into my eyes for 3 long seconds before bending and taking my lower lip. My legs curled around him and I was practically naked from my hips down as he kissed and fondled my breast. He took off his clothes, produced the condom from his back pocket and slid into me. It was painful, but I was already wet enough for his entire fist to fit. A little blood is a small price to pay, I thought to myself as pain and pleasure tore through my soul. Sex is such a beautiful thing. I tried to turn and pick up my nightie, but I saw it hanging on the standing fan very close to the toilet door and I didn't even bother. Uche bent me in ways I didn't know my body was capable of, and it was truly some type of bliss. The rest of the weekend was full of experiments and more sex than most couples would have in their lifetime. I enjoyed it, and he did too. It felt like we had something deeper we both shared, and I felt indomitable. How did I wait this long to experience this? I thought to myself each time we took a break to catch our breath. The weekend was over, and Uche became a stranger. He wouldn't take my calls nor return them. My text showed red, and he avoided the places where I usually go to meet up with him after school and on the weekends. I tried visiting him, but he was never home, even when I could hear his phone ringing from inside. After a few weeks of feeling like a fool, I realized he was playing the long game all along. He was the patient dog that literally ate the fattest and the sexiest bone on campus. And although he didn't rub it in my face, I felt used. I had no one to talk to about it, not even my parents. Uche was the closest thing I had to someone who loved me for me, and even he just wanted the fruits and not the tree. I was hurting for the rest of my 200 level in school, but I made sure my grades weren't affected. My only concern was that if I didn't have sex for all of my 300 level, I would have to resort to sex toys, and I didn't want that. I wasn't interested in having friends anymore. The girls offered fake friendships, and the guys just wanted to get into my pants. I had a choice to make. I had a choice to make, so I decided to make it fun. Each month, I ensured I had boys and men by their ethnicities, English as well. Since Uche, since Uche was Igbo, I started off sleeping with Igbo people in school. I moved to Yoruba, and finally, I had the Hausas on my bed. I always ensured I threw them out at night after we had sex. None of them stayed the night because I still had to study to remain the best in my entire faculty. It got tiring by my final year, and I knew I would eventually graduate having slept with all the boys on campus, but still living as lonely as I came in. I craved the type of friendship I had with Uche, but now I had a problem. All the boys wanted to see my nakedness, but I wanted to know if they were people whom I could call friends. Take off your clothes, I said to Usen. He wore a puzzled look on his face. We had just met that afternoon and we talked all the way to my house. I liked him and his energy, but I also wanted to get the sex out of the way, so I'll see if there was a chance of him staying in my life. I found it easier to connect when I got the sex out of the way. That singular choice I made proved that men only wanted to see you naked and cared very little about what else you had to offer as a person. A few of them wanted to try the long game, but as soon as I literally offered sex, they took it and I kicked them to the curb. There have been a few promising ones, and no matter how much they try to fight their emotions, soon as they see me naked, they fold. It's been 10 years since I left university. I graduated as the best graduating student from my faculty, and I have a job that pays me six figures as passive income while I manage my startup. I would be getting married on the 8th of July. I will be getting married on the 8th of July, and Iba Amaka has not slept with me yet. Not for lack of trying, but he seems to have so much self control that most times I wonder if he's gay. He has kept me celibate for 7 months, and surprisingly, I'm not dead. I know he loves me, and we became friends even with my sex before friends rule, which he proudly broke, not minding the many times I tried seducing him. I don't want to be alone. I feel safe with him, but a part of me still wonders if he'll change after we have sex on our wedding day. I want to believe he's the real deal because he's intentional about me and goes the extra mile to prove it. But there's still a but I can't erase. I will marry him and give love a second chance. Maybe my story will have a happy ending after all. Okay, okay. I think it's now becoming a trend, right? Last week it was Bassi. So hello Tracy. Oh wow, so good to see you here. That's Tracy, right? Yeah. Hello Tracy. Yeah, that's you. Okay. Um. So if we have more guys like Bassi, right? More guys like Bassi and more guys like what was his name again? Ibamaka, right? That was his name, right? I don't want to mix his name up. Yeah, Ibamaka, correct. If we have more guys like that, I think life would be a bit more bearable for people who feel like um they've done the worst. You understand me? Let's check Instagram and see what the comments are like. Let's see. What do we have on Instagram? So we have. So someone says, like I said in the previous episode, and they all lived happily ever after. El fin, which means it's Spanish for the end. Yeah, so basically, right? Basically, at the end, they all live happily ever after. And life is easy for everyone. And then we have we have another comment from someone. The person says, "I'm sure you will have a happy ending, my love." Okay, apparently this person is referring to Abiye, right? So the person says, "I'm sure you have a happy ending, my love. Love is a beautiful thing. Allow yourself to enjoy it." Abiye, please, if you're reading this comment, I know you're reading this comment, Sha. Yeah, but so as you're reading this comment, I am Chop just said, she said, "Love is a beautiful thing. Allow yourself to enjoy it," and it basically reminds me of a conversation I was having with someone over the week, this past week. So what was the challenge for this person? It felt like we have a lot of ladies in the world today, right? Um, because of how heartless. Now I choose to use the word heartless. Because of how heartless the men have been in recent times, it's almost very very difficult to have someone her, who has had her heart serially broken believe in love again. you know but there's one thing I know, which is the fact that as many bad apples as there are in the world, there's always going to be the good ones. Even if you've met 5 million men who just want to sleep with you, there's still going to be that one person. There's still going to be that one person who would want you for you at the end of the day. And now I also get the part where Abi is coming from, which is, oh, let's get the sex out of the way. But I mean, thankfully, except if Abia didn't give me the full story, but thankfully, she didn't have any case of infections. If she had, she didn't share with me. But some people who go down that route of, oh, let's just get the sex out of the way, can enter things that you wouldn't know how to come out of. Um, So for Abiye, her parents missed it. You know, Abiye's parents missed it, and it's becoming a norm. I know you say, oh, it's a woke generation. Everybody's on Instagram, everybody's on TikTok, everyone is on social media. So I mean, what are the chances? What are the chances that somebody wouldn't know what it feels like to be with a guy? What are the chances what are the chances that someone wouldn't understand what it feels like to have a guy touch them, what it feels like to get excited as a lady? You should know your body, yada yada yada, and all of that. For some, you should understand also that for some ladies, because they don't have that person, right? That person who they can discuss certain things with, right? Because they do not have that type of person, the only I'm trying to find the best word to use here, but you find out that the only thing they get to hold on to is what they see, right? And in Abiye's case, it was a case of what I don't know is not killing me. But apparently, what she didn't know was eventually what was dealing with her. You know, if maybe she had someone. Now, when I say someone, I'm always trying to refer to it might be your friend, it might be family. I mean, if I wanted to say should be your mother or your parents, but apparently in our world today, we're having a lot of woke parents that are wokingly letting their kids do woke things, and you end up having a society where there are no morals anymore. You know, for someone to come to the conclusion that when she meets a guy, she should be the one who is taking advantage of the guy. She should be the one who is sleeping with the guy and chasing the guy away. What she didn't know she was further doing to herself was placing herself in a place where she only sees guys as instruments for pleasure. So even when she now met Iba Amaka, right? Um, her first instinct to him refusing her sexual advances was he gay, and Iba Amaka wasn't gay. But like the Basi from last week, um, Iba Amaka is a new crop or generation of men who are um, intentional about their women. You know, I know at the end of the day, everybody wants to marry a virgin, but chances are not all of us will marry virgins. You know, um, chances are you would eventually marry that virgin you want to marry, and you wish you married somebody whose eyes had opened, because you should understand that there's no there's no script. you know we all come into life and we basically have to find things out along find things out as we go. And it's important to have people who would always constantly put you in check. I'm not saying that sex is a terrible thing. It's beautiful. There's a reason why. I'm trying to find the best word to use, but there's a reason why it exists. Sorry, I'm getting some comments. I think I want to read one right now. Um, hmm. Okay. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. I see. So some comments I cannot read out because they are anonymously sent by anonymous people. I hope you understand the English I just put there. Let's see what the comments are like on the blog itself. Hmm. Okay. So, as I was saying, it's very now. As if you're a man watching me right now, if you're a man watching me right now, we have a huge gap to fill. You know, like we literally have a huge gap to fill. You know, we have a lot of women in our world today who just feel like when they meet a guy, the guy is just there because the guy wants to have something to do with her. And it's a huge issue, right? It's a huge issue in our world today. So long story cut short, if you're a parent, man, single parents, double parents, however the now when I say parents here, I'm not just talking about excuse me, I'm not just talking about people who you like actually gave birth to. I'm also talking about people who, by reason of association, you have become some type of fatherly or motherly figure too. You have to you have to take the onus. You have to decide to become intentional about the young boys that look up to you and the young girls that look up to you. You know, if you check it, if Abiye had some type of influence, you know, there are certain decisions she wouldn't have made. I mean, somebody would have clearly told her that talking to boys would not get you pregnant. That's number one. You know, you can imagine her saying she wants to get back at her parents, so she's going to she's going to get pregnant the next day. It's because she clearly didn't have a clue of what it actually entails. So she's talking to the boy, she's touching her stomach, she's feeling butterflies, she's now wondering, is that what the pregnancy is? You know, and then eventually, after her parents have sort of ostracized her from having relationships with actual people. Now bear in mind, she didn't also have any kind of relationship with her peers, with fellow girls, according to her fake lives. Yeah, fake lives and all of that. As many fake female friends as there are in the world, you also have those who are going to stick by you through thick and thin. So you can't, at the end of the day, you can't just give up on humanity. There's a reason why they call them bad eggs. And for something to be bad, it means you also have what? You have the good ones. So yeah, if Abiye had some kind of influence, motherly, fatherly, somebody who she could like basically open up to, chances are she wouldn't have gotten to the place where she was all that. And even if, I mean, because sh- this is not a thing of, I trained her well, I did this well, I did that well. Chances are that she might have had all those influences, but that adventurous spirit in her would still just want to explore. It happens. It happens, you know. And if she now finds herself, I mean, the good thing is, the good thing, and what worries me more, um, so what worries me more is we are now having a crop of young, energetic, hardworking, resourceful, young women who are still burdened about the whole sex thing. It's one part of your life, but I also know it's a very, very important part of your life. So how you go about it matters too. You know, and you can't basically you can't give up on love. I think that's where I want to come from. Because now, um remember she said something in one of the scenes where she said even those who tried so hard to fight it, you know, when she when they saw her naked, they eventually folded. Not everybody's going to be an Ibamaka. Now remember, apparently, she also threw herself on Ibamaka. She also wanted to prove that he's a fluke. She wanted to prove that he's like every other man. So she got naked and did all what she did and all of that. But he didn't flinch. He didn't fold. Chances are that some of these other guys that she did all what she did with, like you hear the people, you hear pidgin English, they will just always tell you, body no be waiting, body no be firewood. You know, not everyone has that level of mastery when it comes to self control. So at the end of the day, we all need to help each other. Maybe, just maybe, if she didn't actually push or seduce some of the other guys that came her way, she might have had, or she might still have, some type of platonic, nice relationship with these guys. And maybe, now I'm saying maybe because my gender will surprise you, but maybe she wouldn't. She wouldn't be in a place where she just only feels that men just want to have fun with her. Let me see if I have any new comments. Okay, none for now. Oh, someone says, um, amazing as always. I like. Okay, thank you so much. Who else? Okay. Someone says, such an interesting story. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much that. We all we all have we all have parts we play. You know, you need me just as much as I need you. Nobody successfully does life alone, right? No one successfully does life alone, and it's something we all need to basically understand. Um, if you are just joining us, if you're just joining us, don't forget that story time. This is story time with the clinic, and our story for today is this. It's just sex, and hmm, at the same time, I would also want to, if you guys noticed today, most of the link that was sent out today was link for my blog, right? So you all are welcome to the clinic. The blog has been in existence for a very, very long time. I just decided to direct us back there because, yeah, it's like a one stop shop where you have every single thing I have. Yeah, my stories, everything I've basically written, and all of that. So once you just go there, you read one story, it might take you like a full year, 2 years, 3 years, give or take, to finish. Yeah, to finish all the stories there. And as always, I'm always going to look forward to reading your comments. Today's story is what? It's just sex, and it's Abiye's story. It's a story that um, everyone and basically anyone can relate to. At this point, I think we've come to the end of tonight's stream. I look forward to seeing you all again, same time next week. Thank you all so much for reading. Thank you all for, and if you have not subscribed, if you've gotten to the end of this video, like if you're here now, if you're at the end of this video, please subscribe. So that your favorite writer can be smiling while he's doing these things for you. I love you guys so much. Thank you all so much for joining on today's episode. Have a lovely night rest.